again, I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana, with my pal Scal, who's sitting off camera over there, the stage left. So what we have, we have the 20 questions from the home office in Muncie, Indiana. And we're going to ask these to Scal after we got done talking to him. That's him in the back. And he's got the no coast. Anyone that's into pinstriping knows there's the right coast. Where is, well, yeah, New York's that way and California's that way. There's the right coast, left coast, and I don't know if there's a north and south coast thing. If he does a no coast, he's got a panel jam here at his shop in Fort Wayne. And I guess you could stop by, but you have to be invited probably. So you have to call and ask first. So I'm sure you can Google Scal Graphics here, and a lot of pictures and stuff will come up, but he doesn't have a website. And we'll get his phone information and all that stuff later on. If you should so happen to want your race car painted or lettered, or your casket or refrigerator, or what have you. So we'll get right to it in a little bit. We'll sit down with Scal, we'll ask him his life history, how he got started in the business. I know he does a lot of dirt track race cars and stuff like that. I got into doing custom paint jobs because when I was a kid in the 70s watching Wide World of Sports on Sundays, you could see the old flop body funny cars and those crazy paint jobs. That's what got me interested. So everybody has an influence from somewhere, right? So we'll sit down with Scal, we'll ask him what his influences were, and we'll interview him a little bit, and then we'll hit the 20 questions, and that's that. See you in a little bit. Everybody, this is Scal. Say hi, Scal.
Hey.
And he does pinstriping and lettering, so go figure, right? So I'll pull up a chair too. Actually, you know what I want to do? At some point, and I'll do you now. We're going to go around the garage here, and I'm going to show you all the junk he's got hanging up. It's not junk, it's artwork. But we'll show you all the cool stuff he's got. Let me get behind the camera. And we'll get back to Scal in a sec, and we're going to show off all the stuff. Scal, where did all this stuff come from?
Over the years, I've been honored and a privilege to share my art with other people. And with Skel's No Coast Jam, everybody brings a piece that's finished, and we swap. I've been lucky enough that quite a few guys have made me pieces and for just attending the show. So I have pieces from great friends and artists from all over. Everything from Chicago, Illinois, Indiana. I even have pieces from Europe. I have stuff that's in the office area. A couple of the pieces that you see, the bigger hood stuff, is the combo pieces that we've done at the show. Just very fortunate. Some other pieces are just old tins and signs that I have found. Other pieces were I've made and it had a flaw in it and I just didn't feel like getting rid of it, and so I hung it up myself. Little collections of this, that, and the other of my stuff that I just like. I love buying other pieces of other artists' work. And
what is this you're working on the table here?
This is for a customer out of Michigan that has a driveline company, and I've done work for him for years.
We'll give that a spin around so we
Yeah,
can...
and he's took an old oil can, and we're going to put an LED in it with a colored lens on the top.
Oh, that's cool.
And he's just going to use it for advertisement in his shop. So.
And you've got that, looks like it's grease penciled out, ready for some art?
Yeah, ready for some striping. This side is, and then this side I'm still working on. This will be engine turned on this side.
Are you going to leaf that?
Yep.
I thought you were going to hand stripe that.
No, well, they'll have hand striping on it, but the lettering is going to be leafed, engine turned, hand painted there, and then I'll stripe on all the way around it. But this is a test can because he has a old C10 that's going to be the shop truck. So whatever we are diddling on this can, we're going to attempt to do on his truck.
And what happened over here on this cabinet? Were you just emptying out your brush?
Pretty much in the beginning. It was every time I had a color, I kept loading and loading, and the airbrush out, did the alphabet one time, a little here, a little there, and then just stickers of people and places I've been, different events. I've been in this place for 15 years now.
This particular location?
Yes.
And where is that?
Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I'm just on a dead-end street, really no advertisement, no nothing. I just enjoy it. I don't have a lot of high traffic. I don't do for sale signs.
So you like me and you kind of just...
I just have fun.
Get up every day and do what you want to do.
Right. I have a list.
That's the upside to doing this kind of stuff, guys.
Right. And I still have the calendar filled with upcoming jobs. I do fleet vehicles. I do a lot of corporate work for different guys. So I have that side of the business that's still going, and it pays the bills and allows me to do the fun stuff.
So let me fix this because I can see I'm not really in the camera. Oh, it goes this way. And I don't want you to think Scal's talking to like Kermit the Frog up outside.
So
when you don't have like a fire truck to do, or a tractor trailer, or a race car, or a motorcycle for somebody, you just kind of like do what?
create art on my own. But
so you'll take an empty can and
yeah, or panels, or I've been, like I said, I've been doing the billet swords for a while.
And this is plexiglass?
No, that's a Lumicore.
A Lumicore. I don't know what that is.
It's a PVC core with aluminum on both sides that's baked on finish.
So,
and
this
then I
was
scuff,
there you go.
and believe it or not, that's rattle can and blend for a background. So those are just fun little things to do. And to build an inventory, I only do 1 or 2 shows anymore a year,
Right.
To actually sell anything.
So you'll pinstripe that when you don't have a scheduled paying job,
Right, and then
you'll take it to a show.
right, and then be able to get rid of it. And then it's suggested and told that I should start doing more internet sales or something like that.
That's the trouble with old guys like me, that whole digital environment, the cloud, whatever that stuff is out there, the unseen memory bank of, before the robots take over.
Right.
That's new to me. And, doing stuff on Instagram and painting something. And
yeah, and it's a whole new world to me too, because I have enough going during the day that with running the computer, trying to get any vinyl orders done, and painted, stripe for 6 different body shops here in town to repair a fender here,
Right.
repair a fender there, that by the time I get to, I got a little time to do something on the internet, I'm about whooped, and it's like, where do I start? So I know I got to get there.
I'm glad you brought that up, because pinstriping, that's how I first met, and Gary the Local Brush.
Right.
And somewhere in
Phenomenal.
this, you people will see Gary the Local Brush. I first met him when I was like 15 years old, working in a body shop. He came in and whip whoop, did the lines in the car and cut out. And then, back in the 1900s, he got, I think, like $30 or $20 per panel. So he walked out of there with like, $40 for, 30 minutes worth of work, and got back in his car and split. And back then, $40 was, that was a lot of money, man.
Oh yeah, big money.
So you do still body shop jobs. You're going to do like, they get like a right front hit.
Yeah.
And you'll stripe the fender into the door and you're done and you're on your way.
I'm fortunate enough now that I've been doing it long enough that they bring it to me.
Okay.
I don't have to load up anymore like I used to. And, I was spending half the day on the road going to 3-4 different jobs.
But everybody has to start somewhere.
Right, exactly.
And
then,
plus back then, that's what a lot of guys used to do. They would travel from shop to shop.
Right.
Car dealerships, used car dealers, new car dealers, they would pay you to do
Plus,
that embellishment on the side.
And, the other thing was you usually didn't have a shed this big
Right.
to be able to do all that stuff in.
But everybody has to start somewhere.
You got to. So I'm fortunate enough now, and enough guys know me, that they know they bring it here, because while it's drying, or I have to put a second color on, or we're going to do a motif or something like that on it, I can be doing something else here.
Over here in the bench while the
Right.
car sits there.
While that's drying and tacking up, I'm working on it, and it just works better for me this way.
So that's interesting, because like I know some of the other people I'm going to talk to through this DVD and everything, and just other shops, a lot of guys don't do body shop or used car lot stripe jobs, so just that straight line down the side, or a monogram on the door, or like a little whoop-de-doos around the trunk lock or something. It's primarily, I think, a lot of people think it's just that Von Dutch style of artwork. You see the guys in like Detroit or Chicago
Right.
or Dallas. They do this in the pinstriping area for the charity, and they think it's all about that and just that.
Right.
But it's really, at one point, I know when I was a kid, a pinstriper's bread and butter was pulling those straight lines
Right.
in body shops and car dealerships.
In this area, that has kind of died out at the dealerships. There's two guys, if not 3 guys, that are doing strictly tape, and that's what you're getting. Now, if you request it, then the dealer calls me, and they bring the vehicle out, and then we do it from there. Or I'm suggested to stop by, and they stop by then
Right.
after the fact. But the painting of the dealership stripe in this area just isn't as big as it used to be. And I think the tape took over.
Like cow stripe?
Yeah, pretty much.
Not Scal stripe.
Cow.
That's him.
Yeah.
Cow stripe.
Right. Pinstriping
That's the icky
tape.
stuff.
Available in 6 different colors and maybe 2 metallics.
You'd rather pay for Scal stripe.
So over the years, with the computer age and everything like that, there's everybody and their brother's got a machine anyway,
Right.
it seems like.
Well,
Plus-
it's cheap technology.
Plus, we're competing with Walmart's Cricut that you can put on your dining room table and do 8.5 by 11 pieces.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, but it's another piece of equipment. So I had to get vinyl machine to do and stay in business, but at the same time, I have the art side and the sign painter side of me.
Right, but you still do a lot of hand-painted lettering.
Oh, absolutely.
You see, like two of the other guys who have already filmed do a lot of artistic pinstriping
Right.
and stuff like that. You do a lot of lettering on like dump
Right.
trucks or cement trucks and stuff.
Exactly, and then like just the other week, we did a 1800 Volvo gasser,
Okay.
which was all variegated leafed.
So race car stuff.
Yeah, race car stuff. I still have a few customers that will not have vinyl on their equipment. Everything's got to be painted.
You do more, as far as customers coming in, do you do more lettering and pinstriping, or is it about 50-50?
I would say it's probably 50-50. I'm fortunate enough that I work with enough variety of clientele from the commercial side of it, which is strictly a computer vinyl or a mask or something that they can use to paint, roll, whatever they need to do for floors or whatever, to some corporate fleet vehicles that are strictly vinyl. Then some of them I do the artwork, ship it out to have it digitally printed. Then I do application, or the customer does themselves. And then I do some great bike shops here in the area, doing work for different dealerships with their bikes. So that's striping and lettering. Race cars, still doing those, but I'm competing against the guy that can do it for nothing. So I can't do this for free.
Right.
And a lot's changed over the years, but I still get to paint every day. That's the best part.
So you're not stuck in that corporate drone
No.
office building.
No, there's stuff that I have to do that I'm not looking forward to doing, but it's the great customer return work.
Well,
And,
in order to have good, you gotta have bad.
Right.
That's how the
But
whole system works.
I don't do real estate signs unless they're the big one-ups.
I never even thought of real estate signs.
Yeah, I don't.
What would you do on a real estate sign?
Oh, you can do, well, now the digital print and all that, you can do anything.
So did the real estate company come looking for you?
Yeah, but now we have a company here in town that pretty much gathered the market because he stores the signs.
Ah.
And the realtor just calls them, say, hey, I got these 7 addresses, put my signs on them. So not only is he producing the sign, but he's getting a fee for go out and putting their signs
Yeah,
up.
it's a whole other program.
Right, so there's avenues that, oh, why don't you do this, why don't you do that? And it's like, I'm pretty happy where I'm at. I like this level, and yeah, I'd like to get my artwork farther out there. I think my style's a little different than quite a few people, but I don't need to go to...
How did you acquire your style?
I was 14 back home in New Baltimore, Michigan, and we had a local racetrack, Mount Clemens Speedway, and the area's painter couldn't get to the stock car in time. And I knew the guys real well, and he says, hey, I've seen your drawings, you think you could paint? I don't know, never tried. He went out and bought me 5 cans of One Shot, a couple quills, and an outliner. And that was it. That was the start. I was 14 years old.
It's not very often someone else is going to set you up in business like that, I'd say.
Right. So I did, I didn't get paid for the job because I got the brushes and the paint.
Well, that's not so bad.
That was payment. But that
Pretty
year,
good payment when you
oh,
think about it,
absolutely.
because look at you now.
After that year, I painted 3 that year. The next year I painted a few more, and then I did some signs. Still being in high school, not really knowing what I wanted to do, I just kept doing it. But then I went to college for architectural engineering and got a degree and painted the whole time I was there. Did this, did that, just couldn't find my niche. And finally, I made the decision I wanted to paint race cars. So I moved here full-time in '85, and I actually lived in an office of a race shop on a bedroll for a year. painting this guy's son's race cars. And then he let me bring other stuff in. And then I got a real job that same year working for Signs Unlimited. They did billboard and electrical, did artwork there, painted there, went to the next
So you
job.
just kind of fell in from the guy bought you brushes and paint, and then somebody else gave you a spot to work as long as you did. You kind of fell into a good situation one after the other.
Yeah, I mean...
That doesn't happen to everybody.
No, it doesn't. And then some people go, well, God, that sounds pretty rough.
Did you have fun?
I had a ball.
And it wasn't rough.
Yeah, not to me it wasn't rough, but some people think, oh, that was terrible. Oh, God, I don't know how you did it. There were a lot rougher situations you could have had yourself in. I felt very fortunate. I've got to work with some great people. I've learned from some great people. Nobody just opened the door to let you in. You kind of prove yourself to get there.
See, that's like why a lot of people have asked me to do a how to pinstripe DVD, and I was always like, there's lots of stuff like that out there. I'd rather interview people that are good at what they do and make a living at it. If you're making, $20,000 a year or $200,000 a year,
oh yeah,
you are sustaining your existence in life, doing something you love, and you're not getting stitches because you ripped yourself open on a car fender or something.
Right. I've always had the motto, though, or the whatever your thought, that no matter how bad it gets, I'm willing to shovel shit. You got to pay your bills. You got to stay alive. I'm fortunate enough that this is what I do, and it hasn't been that bad yet. So
good time dues are always due.
yeah, always do. But just like he's explaining, is a how-to video on how to pinstripe is a million different ideas and opinions are going to be given to you until you learn what's comfortable for you to achieve that effect. Now it might be this brush, that brush, the way this is thinned, the way that is thinned. You're going to find something. And then over the time of practice and practice, which it never stops.
It's like playing guitar.
I am still practicing to this day.
But you get paid to practice. That's
true.
the upside.
But you learn through the processes of, man, the temperature was a little bit different. The humidity was a little bit different.
Adjusting to your environment.
Exactly. And then what am I doing in this situation compared to this situation? What product am I using here to here to here? I've been called a mad scientist because basically that's what I am with paint.
You go like this before you paint?
Just about, just about. If not, rub the orb, see if it glows. Products out there change so much just in the last few years, every time, because of our EPA and this reason and that reason. You have to play and practice before you put that on that car.
It's like trying a new brush.
Yeah.
One brush may feel comfortable.
Right. I've had brand new ones, brand new, never been into paint, and did this, tried it, recleaned it, tried it, clad it.
One style brush may work better with a different style paint, be it one shot or a urethane.
Yeah, there's possibilities in that. I know I've had better luck with this brush with using this product, but at the same time I've used this brush and it works with all the products. I've never really had it. The cleaning, always clean and always lube after the fact, Some guys are going to say, you need to use this neat's foot, or you got to use this oil from this brush company, or you got to use that. 40 weight, I've always had it, always used it. If I ever run out somewhere,
Well, that's why if you buy someone's How to Pinstripe DVD or a VHS tape or what have you, they're going to teach you how they do it.
Right.
And you really have to come up with your way.
Right.
And the only way that you're going to come up with your way is to see how a lot of people do it, to determine what works for you as an individual.
I use 40 weight for the simple reason
Use motor oil?
Yeah.
Okay.
You just clean thoroughly after,
Well, no, like when I spoke to Gary the Local Brush, I think the guy's name was Frankie Bird, used to reduce his paint with gasoline.
Right.
So
it was a hot flash. We're being taught, or I should say, it is being taught over the internet or this DVD or that. Use mineral spirits, use this, use one-shots reducers, use this reducer. You will learn, no matter what you use, what's working for you in this situation. Then you have to realize one simple thing. No matter if you're in a major metropolis or out in corn hucking whatever, nowhere, what can you get? If you're in a bind, what can you use?
Right.
That's where the science works a little bit. I'm a big fan of naphtha, okay? Naphtha works thinning, it's a little hotter. It's not as hot as an acrylic enamel reducer, but it's hotter than mineral spirits.
And what do you mean by hotter?
It dries faster.
Okay.
Okay, it's not as oily. It's a faster flash. I can go.
So it's like a fast reducer.
Right, and I can do my second color quicker. It doesn't take the shine out of it. Doesn't burn your paint.
Okay.
Okay, so.
I've noticed that sometimes they'll take the shine out.
Oh yeah.
Some different things.
The hotter, the thinner, the more chances likely that you're going to burn it. Now we know of a couple artists out there that take one shot and thin with lacquer. Now they're pretty good at what they're doing, and they've got it down over years of practice. But at the same time, I've seen it where it's burnt it.
I know mineral spirits takes a long time.
Oh, it takes.
And I use that.
Yeah, it takes.
I'm not as good as Scal, and I'm sure you've heard me say when I've interviewed other people, I like the opportunity to wipe away my badness.
Right.
When I mess up a line or something, I can go back in there and fix it.
Well, you can still wipe up with certain things. Then your next step up would be getting into urethanes, and urethanes is not as easy to repair on certain.
Because urethane is for somebody who's Johnny on the spot's been doing it for a while.
Right.
I wouldn't recommend personally urethane to somebody who's just beginning.
No.
Would you?
No, not at
That's
all.
for somebody with a practiced hand, if
Right.
you will.
Start with your one shot or Ronin, because
Okay.
Ronin is a great product too. Like I said, we've changed the VOCs, we've changed.
Isn't Ronin like one shot, or the people, somebody who left one shot started Ronin? Or
No, Ronin is older actually.
Really?
Ronins from
Because I've never.
1898.
Wow. Okay.
It's still made out in New York on the East Coast. I beautifully love their cherry red and a couple of the other colors. The coverage is really good.
Do they have a different color spectrum to one shot?
Yes.
Similar colors?
They got
or
similar
variety?
Well, they got similar colors. They don't have the amount of variety that one shot has. You got more individual pre-mixed cans in one shot. Ronin, we used in the sign business, has a bulletin paint. Tremendous for rolling out your backgrounds. Great coverage, everything like that. Then the trick I learned was thinning, like less than 10%, you could spray it. And we did stock cars like that, where I would be spending 16 bucks for a quart of red.
As opposed to 100?
Yeah, to a quart of red of automotive paint. So, and then a stock car gets banged up in a wall or whatever, tire marks or whatever. With Ronin, I could take mineral spirits and wipe the tire mark off the door, and the paint was still there.
Wow.
Then with touch up, the guy'd come back after a month or so of running.
Always match.
Just take it out of the can, and we would roll it on with a 4-inch foam
And it would flow
roller
out?
and use a mop and crosshatch it, and it'd flow right back out. It looked like it was sprayed.
I used to paint the wings on 747s for Pan Am with a roller.
Oh yeah. So it's all this, experience, practice, trial, more practice, trial, and you learn this trick and that trick. I mean, there's guys that would thin with kerosene. There was guys that would thin with gasoline. There's all those stories about barn painters and everything. Paint has changed, so you need to change with it.
And that's one thing you hear from every pinstriper I sit down with: practice.
Constantly.
You have to practice.
Yeah.
You have to keep your hand in it.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I mean, I've met some guys that have been out of it for a while, and they picked it back up. Boom, they were right back at it. I met other guys that picked it back up after a while, and they never got it back.
See, now I haven't striped for a while, and every time I start, I can see how rough I am, and I get the groove back as I get going. But I got to go through, like if I'm at home, I got to paint like every day for a week or so, and I start getting my groove back.
Sure.
Now, I don't think I'm as good as Scal or a lot of other guys. Like I said, I just do it to goof and have a good time, and I do stuff for charity auctions and whatnot.
Right.
But still, it takes me, and if I kept doing it every day, maybe I could become as good as Scal and everybody else. But I got other stuff. I'm building crazy cars from the futuristic '60s and junk like that. So I'm breathing fiberglass.
There's numerous amount of artists out there that are better than I am. It just I know.
think every true artist always says that.
Oh, well,
Oh, this other guy's better than me. Or,
yeah. Well, it's
this guy's style is so fantastic.
how I paint. you know, is different than a lot of others,
And
but
now, you said how I paint. You're left-handed, right?
I'm left-handed.
And you paint backwards, you said.
When I'm doing lettering, and like when I start striping, I'll start from the right side and go to the left, because it keeps my hand out.
See, I would start, and I do this like you would, you know, from the left to the right, and you start way over here, toward you.
For an example on this, I drew this out, but I would start painting from here and work this way to keep my hand out of it. Now, I do use a maul stick once in a while, but I never practiced or trained myself enough on a maul stick to be as proficient as I am painting backwards. So that's why I do that way.
Now, being left-handed, you have, now the maul stick, if you remember, is like basically a stick with a rubber tip at the end. So it's kind of like, I don't know, it's a cane for Muppets. I don't know. And you kind of lay it and you hold it and you can rest your arm on it so you don't drag your hand through the artwork you're doing. And it's not like a pinstriper thing, you know, Picasso, Renoir, Seurat, all these artists use that way back, you know, French Renaissance period and all that. So it's been around forever. I don't know who Maul is. He invented it.
I don't think I ever read the book about Maul.
So, the Book of Maul.
The Book of Maul.
Or is it Darth Maul from Star Wars? I don't know.
Could be. You never know.
But now, I would have to hold that with my left hand and rest my right hand to work.
Right, so...
Would you do it, hold it with your right hand, do it backwards?
Yeah, I'd hold the stick with the right and still paint with the left. It's just one of those things, I just figured out how to paint backwards quick. It worked better for me. An older gentleman suggested, because I was having, when I was a lot younger, I was having issues. My hand was cramping. It seemed like I was trying to do this bridge and whatever, and the maul stick wasn't comfortable. He said, "You ever think about painting backwards?"
Now, was this older gentleman, was he a pinstriper also?
I couldn't tell you for sure. All I remember,
He was just some citizen watching you?
I was lettering a race car at the time, and it was a guy that was at the garage, and he came up from behind. I couldn't tell you if he was a signed guy. I couldn't tell you if he was just the average spectator. All I know is I've been doing it ever since that suggestion.
So that goes to show, don't ever write off
You never know.
someone, you don't know who it is, and you might not know who, like, Dean Jeffries or Larry Watson is, but it could be some, you know, I mean, neither one of those guys is around anymore, but if one of those guys is behind you going, hey, you know, you should da-da-da, don't go, hey, get out of here, old man. You don't know who it is.
Yeah.
It could be someone who has nothing and no knowledge of what you're doing, but yet they see something from a different perspective or a different, you know, point of view. That might be the simplicity you're looking at. It's a fresh eye from an outside source.
Oh yeah, ever since it's really worked tremendously for me.
Accept criticism gracefully, I guess.
Absolutely.
If I want to say.
Absolutely. Are you going to leave it like that? Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, so I always painted, and I've done different jobs and everything like that, but 85 on, I started working full-time at sign shops, and went from big-time billboard, electric signs, commercial, to the next shop was signs and vehicles.
Have you ever worked in a sign shop?
Yeah.
For somebody else?
Yeah.
Okay.
I worked for somebody else from 85 till about 15 years ago. So.
How many years have you been doing this?
Well, I would say full-time since 85. I painted my first race car in 76.
Okay.
So I've been doing it for...
And it's 2018 now, so you guys can break out your calculators at home.
Yeah, so I've been doing it for a while.
A long time.
Yeah, so it's to this day, there's days where you look around and you see some of the stuff that you did just last year or 10 years ago, and you go, man, I really sucked back then, you know. But at the same time...
But and anyone that does any kind of artwork, even if you're doodling on like a cocktail napkin,
Right.
Everybody's always very critical of their own work.
Absolutely.
So
it's just, every one of us, you can pick up something that will help you from every one of us. And even the ones that you don't consider to be the best, they might do one lick or one part of their design
that inspires you.
Yeah, to do something on yours, and then you
might take it and
tweak it and changed it a little bit, but that was it. That's what that piece needed. Then you got other pieces that you work on. You got 50 colors in it, and it's just mind-boggling to look at it. You got to study it for hours, and you think it's absolutely beautiful, and it is. It turned out great. But then I do other pieces that are one color.
Do you ever look at like like a piece of something, like a mailbox or a valve cover or an odd piece of steel laying in a corner of a body shop, and you weren't like, you were just thinking like that day, like, I don't want to do anything today, but and you see that piece and you're like, oh man,
You gotta paint it.
that would look great if I did this on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That hit you?
All the time, and then even when you're walking around, I look at architecture and a support of a structure, an arm, you know, an arch, anything, and you just see part of it or the whole of it, and it's like, you know what? I'm going to try that with a line.
I used to walk around the Lower East Side of New York City with Indian Larry, and we would look at like fire escapes,
Right.
and some of them were just strap steel, and you could tell if they were riveted together or if they were gas welded or electric welded, but a lot of them were extremely ornate.
Oh, yeah.
And you sit there and look at that and be like, that's not a cast piece. Like a lot of stuff is cast iron or aluminum with like the flowers and the acorns. And a lot of times you look at really old fire escapes or door entryways or or like a walkway arch or something, and it's all like hand-twisted steel and hand-formed leaves, and it's gorgeous. And you're like, there's hours and hours and hours there.
Yeah, wrought iron and the Art Deco movement, the whole thing about it is just like you keep looking at it and you see something, every time you look at it, you see a little bit more.
If you walk through the Henry Ford Museum, there's these giant, big, wide, leather belt-driven machines, and these big, giant, wheels and axles are held by these very ornate, floral and rococo-looking cast iron structures that hold it up. And today, it's just like, it's a big square with no soul, and no love, no
Art Deco, nothing to it. There's no design. Where the whole machine, you looked at the machine, every piece of it was tied together.
It had a little bit of love.
Yeah, and it was like, and those things are still around and still being used.
A lot of them, yeah.
And it's like, today you get a piece and half of it's plastic or the other piece is going to crack.
Well, that's what's kind of cool is, like, I know myself and probably a lot of guys, especially like hot rod guys and motorcycle guys, I have a 1952 Sheldon lathe that I got out of a shop that updated to CNC machines. So that gives backyard guys like us an opportunity to buy a piece of equipment cheap to throw in our home garages.
Oh, yeah.
And I paid $1,000 for my lathe, but the first 2 times I used it, trust me, I earned that back. Even though I use it making my own stuff, like just little tiny spacers and stuff like that.
Right.
It's great.
Okay.
So you know what? I'll pop the camera off. I'll walk you around and show you up close some of the stuff Scal has done, some of the stuff he takes to shows. The type of thing he has painted, like, I don't know, an old beer bottle like I do, or a handsaw, and that'll give you like somewhat of an idea. And I'll bring Scal with me, maybe we'll point at some stuff and I'll have him explain it to you. So let me get up, we'll go take a walk around his shop and we'll show you some neat art.